Hello. This afternoon, glorious Saturday afternoon, I'm off to the village hall in Steeple Aston, where there's a meeting taking place for the Mid-Cherwell Neighbourhood plan. It's a public consultation to basically present some information and get some feedback on the neighbourhood plan, which is basically an opportunity for the local communities to have their say in the wider planning regulations that will be coming in with new houses that are required by sort of the government's main plan. So yeah, this is just an opportunity to tell the local communities what sort of things are going to be potentially happening and to get their feedback, and gives the local neighbourhoods the chance to put their requirements or their preferences forward to the local district to try and influence their planning. So I'm going to walk there from Groom's Cottage, which is where we live. It's only a 5-minute walk, so we'll get to see some of the glorious Steeple Aston on the way. See you later. So this is where we currently live, Groom's Cottage. As you can see, it's got a new extension onto the old part of the house. There's Lucas, a cheeky little cat. And we see we're straight onto the main road, Groom's Cottage. So off we go. As I said, it's a really nice sunny day today. It's still quite chilly though, but you can see just how amazingly gorgeous this village is. This is north side. Basically Steeple Aston is at its centre, like a square of fields and a bit of a valley in the middle, and then there's south side and north side, and then the two roads at either end which sort of join up the square. So it's quite a nice layout really, because you can go for a walk and you can do a loop, walk all the way around to the village. There's a nice little bed and breakfast over here on the right hand side. You can see it's typically, these older parts of the village, typically thatched roofs with this kind of Cotswold type stone. Not exactly sure what type of stone it is, but it's got a very light yellowy colour. And obviously part of the local planning is to maintain the things, such as a nice little letterbox there from Victoria's reign, to protect things like that, protect the features that really make the village what it is, whether it's the walls, the trees, the roads, the layout, or certain views, but also accept that there will be the need for further development, because there's just a national need for more housing. And so whether we like it or not, there will be a requirement for new homes. This is a nice little corner, the old school. And these little nooks and crannies like that, I think, that really give a village its character. Obviously, villages like these have grown up quite naturally. They're never planned out, but built around presumably agriculture and the needs of the community at the time. Obviously that changes with every new generation, so I think part of the planning is really accepting that and trying to find the best way forward that maintains the character of the village but still provides what the new modern community needs. So just coming up to the end of north side, past the church on the left. This is a nice little corner here as well. We've got the signpost. See after post office and stores to the right, village hall to the left, which is where we're going, and Middle Aston, North Aston off to the left as well. Hannah and I got married in Middle Aston, which is literally just down this road, Middle Aston House. Which was really nice to get married somewhere that was so local and just made life quite easy when we were setting up. So just walking through the churchyard, and the village hall is directly up in front of us. We've got the nursery school on the right. So the key feature of the village is there is a primary school, a preschool, there's a village shop, post office, a pub. So it's classed as a category A village, which basically means that it has the facilities to support additional population, which is obviously a bit of a double-edged sword. It's great that it's got the facilities, but it does mean that it will inevitably be a prime target for additional homes. You can see there's a playground as well. So just arriving at the village hall. There's the school on the left. Not sure if there's going to be anyone here actually, it might be a bit early. So we've just been setting up in the village hall. I think we're just about there. We've got all the tables and chairs all set up, and the all-important projector just going up there. But the hub of the operation is the tea room, where we've got...
I like my cars, fast and powerful. There you are. I'll say. That's what it says on the cup.
Would you like to just quickly introduce yourselves, ladies?
I'm Catherine, this is Jan. I'm Janet.
Hi Janet and Catherine, nice to meet you. And you're making some tea and coffee for all the visitors today.
For all the helpers.
A nice cup of tea and some flapjacks I see there as well.
Absolutely.
Which
yes.
is lovely, thank you very much.
There you are.
Very kind. So yeah, everyone gets to enjoy a nice cup of tea and coffee, and then we'll go listen to some presentations about the neighbourhood plan, so it should be good. So now that everyone's listened to the presentations, they have an opportunity to sit at their tables and to discuss the issues that they've heard about, and to fill in the post-it notes that they've got to give their opinions on the various topics, such as housing, community facilities, the impacts of things like traffic, the impact of development on the rural nature of villages, etc. And then all those post-its will be collected and posted on the boards at the back of the room, and the committee will then be making a note of those, I think compiling them, so there's a record of everything. And they will use those opinions to then form presumably the next stage of the process. But hopefully I'll be talking to Martin a bit more about that, trying to understand a bit more about how it goes from here and what the next steps are. So there's a good turnout. All the tables are full and people are discussing their options and filling in the post-its. So I think another success. So you can see here all the post-it notes that have been put onto the boards. They're all anonymous, so you can't be linked to what you said. As you can see, there's quite a good spread of comments on different topics: road and traffic, public transport, health and well-being, environment, landscape, heritage. Heritage not so popular. And housing, which is housing, unsurprisingly, the most popular one. Lots of post-its there. Bye! Okay, so, meeting is over, just walking back. I think it was another worthwhile, I say another, they had a similar meeting on Tuesday and it was another worthwhile event. There was probably a little bit more feedback in that one, more questions from the floor. But clearly it's something that people are very passionate about, giving up their Saturday afternoon to go and talk about it. And I think some of the common themes that are running through, things like affordable housing and housing for the elderly and support for people who need it. People are quite keen on seeing that happens. So back at Groom's Cottage after going to the neighbourhood plan meeting, I think it was definitely worthwhile going. As you'd expect, there's a lot of concern that there'll be big development happening in the village, which people obviously don't want. But I think there's the expectation from the councillors that if the plan is put together properly, then that can be avoided, which is obviously the whole point of doing all this. But people do recognise the need for new housing, especially affordable housing, and they recognise that, or they prefer, it seems to me, that if there is new housing, that the developments are small, and that the people living there are included in the community. And I also raised the point at the end that new housing doesn't have to be developer-led. It can be sort of housing built by self-builders, for example, or community-led projects, which I think is an interesting angle on it all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Obviously we'll be keeping an eye on it. I'm hoping that I can have an interview or a chat with Martin Lipson, who was one of the main presenters, to just get a few more of the details of what's going on with the plan. So that should be good. So I'm joined this morning by Martin Lipson. Martin is a councillor in Steeple Aston, and you've been heavily involved in the Mid-Cherwell neighbourhood plan.
Yeah.
So perhaps could you give a brief introduction to your background and your involvement in the plan?
Well, I'm a retired architect. I'm a parish councillor, lived in the village for 16 years now, and I joined the parish council really with an interest in the future of the village, conservation issues, planning issues, building related issues. There's lots of them, and it's kept me quite busy. But what has spun off from the parish council is this Mid-Cherwell neighbourhood plan, which is the 10 other parishes in the neighbourhood have joined with us, and we've formed an organisation that is capable of producing this new beast called a neighbourhood plan. Now, a neighbourhood plan is a statutory document. It's a new type of statutory document in the planning system, created in the 2010 Localism Act. And it is the third tier of the planning system. So there used to be things that people did locally, like village plans and parish plans, but they didn't have any force.
Okay.
They were expressions of what the community liked, but they weren't enforceable. This is.
Okay.
And that has made people sit up, and there are lots of them going on all over the country.
Yeah. And so, as I understand it, there's a directive from the government as to what they want the future of housing and sort of resources to be. And then you've got the local councils, so in our case Cherwell, who are then coming up with a plan for their district to then go back to
the local plan, as it's
the
called.
local plan.
Yeah.
And so the neighbourhood plan sort of sits below that, but it's basically generated by the local communities.
Yeah, and this is what's interesting about it. It has to be seen to be a bottom-up plan proposal, which comes from engagement meetings held in the local area, significant numbers of people expressing their views about what they like and what they don't like, the issues that they want addressed and so forth. And then the plan has to be based on those views. When it's submitted to the council, probably in about a year's time, with a lot of work to be done, it will first be scrutinised by an inspector, an independent inspector, who will look to see that it is soundly based on local people's views, which is really quite interesting. And I think it means that you've got the confidence when you write the plan that you are expressing the views of what people want.
Yeah.
Like it or not. They may not all be things we agree with.
Yes. And so in terms of the local plan set by Cherwell in this example, they've come up with a target number of houses for their districts, and they look at some of the big towns like Bicester and Banbury in this case and say we can get this number of homes in these locations, but there's always going to be then some additional houses on top of that they're going to be looking in sort of in the gaps in between, if you like, and that's why the neighbourhood plan is important to try and.
That's it, because the approved local plan, which went through a rather difficult phase of being rejected by the government, had an extra 1,500 homes added onto it.
Yeah.
That has piled the pressure onto the rural areas, as well as to Bicester and Banbury, and to a lesser extent other smaller towns. The villages are categorised in various ways. Steeple Aston is one of 3 Category A villages within our neighbourhood of 11 parishes, which means that they have facilities like shop, village hall, school, that can potentially support a larger population.
Yes.
So that means that the approximately 750 homes that Cherwell has identified as needing to be outside Banbury and Bicester to meet their plan target will be spread amongst all the Category A villages. I can't remember how many there are, but we are 3 of them.
Yes.
And the effect of that could be that up to 50 houses could be added on to each of those 3 villages. Yeah. That would be quite a dramatic change.
Yes. So you could end up with 30, 40 houses, for example, in Steeple Aston. But the point of this plan is that you can look at the data, look at what the people in the villages want, and then come up with sort of some hard evidence as to why it shouldn't happen.
What number would be appropriate, what kind of houses, which sites, what kind of mix and density and so forth. We can put that level of detail into the neighbourhood plan when the level above, the local plan, simply says numbers.
Yes.
And that means that there is an element of community control on what happens. We have yet to see, of course, because it's all very new, how effective this is in the planning system when it comes to challenges from developers. But the hope is that it will be.
Yeah. And so what's happening at the moment is a series of consultations with villages. So there's been a couple of meetings over the last week where the idea has been presented, and people have had a chance to discuss their thoughts and to write their thoughts down and to submit them to you, and those will be collated and sort of reviewed. Yeah. And that's the next stage.
We have nearly 100 people turn up to these 2 meetings, which we were wowed by, really. We hadn't expected those sort of numbers. And we got people sitting round tables in groups talking about the issues, which has generated well over 400 individual comments, which we spent last Saturday morning collating. We haven't finished that process yet, and there's still more things coming in by email and so on.
Yes.
So it's turned out to be a very successful process. This isn't, of course, just our village. There have been similar meetings going on in the other 11 parishes.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have, getting on for 500 people in the area who've actually directly engaged with us just at this first round of meetings. There will be more such meetings during the course of the year to feed back to people.
Yeah.
This is what you've said, this is what we're thinking of doing. Do you agree? Would you like to be involved?
Yeah.
And so forth.
Okay, well, perhaps next time we speak to you then we'll have a bit more information and sort of better idea of what people have said and the sort of thing they're looking for.
Indeed,
Quite
I hope so.
exciting. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.